Hello. Good morning. I'm Brian Manning. I'm an asylum lawyer, and I'm going to answer your questions about asylum in the United States. So, I'm an ex asylum officer with the government, but now, as an asylum lawyer, my law firm helps immigrants all over the country to secure their future in America through asylum. And this is the Asylum Answers Show, and I want to answer your questions. So, leave me your questions in the comments in the chat. But first, say hello. Let me know what's going on. Say hello. Let me know where you're watching from. Love to see where you guys are at. Hello on TikTok. Welcome, Hassan. Welcome, Gubasena. Welcome, Nurzai. Glad to have you here over on YouTube. Hello, hello. Good to see you guys with us. Facebook, LinkedIn. Good morning. I'm Brian Manning. For those of you joining now, I'm an asylum lawyer. My law firm is actually called Political Asylum Lawyers, and we help immigrants all over the country to secure their future in America through asylum. So what we do all day, every day is asylum. That's what we focus on. I think we're great at it. We're helping a lot of people to give them the best possible chance of winning their asylum case. And I want to answer your questions. Let's have a dialogue here. I want to know what you want to know about getting asylum in the United States. So go ahead. After you take a second to say hello, let me know where you're watching from. Love to see that. And then you can start leaving your questions in the chat, all right? But look, I want to keep providing you with a few news updates of things that are going on in the world of asylum and immigration reform and the immigration crackdown that we're witnessing from Donald Trump, all right? So, look, all right, we've got important immigration news to cover today. I'm Brian Manning. I'm an asylum lawyer and ex-government asylum officer, and I'm here to keep you informed of developments of interest to the immigrant community. So let me go over and show you on my screen a few things that are coming up recently in the news. All right. We're going to start here with the New York Times. This headline is Trump says U.S. will hold migrants at Guantanamo. The president suggested 30,000 migrants could be housed on the base. It's unclear how the plan will take shape. So here's what we know about this so far. President Trump has ordered facilities at Guantanamo Naval Base to be prepared to hold up to 30,000 migrants. The plan would dramatically expand current detention capacity, which holds approximately 40,000 immigrants in various facilities nationwide. So we'd be going from 40,000 to up to 70,000 with Guantanamo. The proposed site would be located in a remote section near the base's airfield, separate from the existing terrorism suspect prison. Now, while the base was previously used for humanitarian operations in the 90s, civil rights advocates expressed serious concern. Logistical challenges are significant, including the base's remote location. Now, look, there's a lot of concerns here about right to access, the ability of these migrants to access legal resources, like to get help with their potential immigration, including asylum cases. And obviously, there's just a lot of bad history that comes with Guantanamo Bay, as most of you probably know about. All right, let us go over to the Austin American-Statesman in Austin, Texas. Border czar criticizes Selena Gomez's emotional response to Trump's immigration orders. So, Selena Gomez's emotional response to President Trump's immigration orders has sparked controversy. This Mexican-American actress, whose family immigrated to Texas in the 70s, she posted a video expressing concern about children affected by immigration enforcement. Now, Trump's border czar, Tom Homan, criticized her response. He did this on Fox News, redirecting attention to victims of drug trafficking. Now, this occurs amid major policy shifts, including the new Lake and Riley Act, mandating detention for minor offenses and even accusations of minor offenses. And look, by the way, if you've got an asylum case pending with USCIS, if you've been waiting for multiple years for an asylum interview, we should talk, all right? We might have a way to get your stalled asylum case unstuck. You can go to winasylum.com, WINASYLUM.com, to schedule a consultation, or at least let me know in the comments if you've got a case pending. Let me know how long you've been waiting for your asylum interview with USCIS, okay? A couple more items for you, maybe 2 or 3. I want to show you this development Let's go over to the Los Angeles Times. It says Trump's orders have upended U.S. immigration. What legal routes remain? How can you possibly even come to the United States legally in this current moment? So the Trump administration has implemented sweeping changes to U.S. immigration policy. Changes include suspending the refugee program, shutting down the CBP One app for asylum applications, and empowering ICE to conduct expedited deportations without judicial hearings. Protections at sensitive locations like schools and hospitals have been eliminated. ICE arrests have also increased tenfold compared to the previous administration, with over 3,500 arrests in just the first week. So yeah, there's a lot going on, and people may be wondering, like, is it possible to even come to the United States at all anymore legally? And the answer is yes. There's still people coming and going to be able to come here based on family relationships, based on employment, based on investment. And yes, you can still get asylum in the United States. It's true. Trump is making it exceptionally hard for people to come to the border and seek asylum. But for people that are already here or that come on a visa, those programs are not affected. You can still apply for asylum. All right. So all hope is not lost. We're going to keep fighting this. A lot of Trump's policies are being challenged and are going to be challenged in the courts. And we're not going to stop advocating for immigrants. In my law firm, we're not going to stop advocating for asylum and helping people to secure their future in America through asylum. All right. Now, look, these recent developments underscore the urgent need to obtain competent legal representation to protect your rights. With Trump back in office, it's more important than ever to present the strongest asylum case possible. The system is becoming more restrictive and complex every day. If you want to talk about your case, like if you think you might want help securing your future in America through asylum, then do go to winasylum.com right now to schedule a consultation. Again, that's WINASYLUM.com. Thanks, and we look forward to supporting you in your asylum journey. It's a pleasure and honor to support you in your asylum journey. With those few news items covered, actually, let me just change this. Let's go over to your questions. I'm Brian Manning, for those of you who have just recently joined us. By the way, TikTok, I was showing on my screen some news articles, and sometimes I show various different things, websites that come up in our questions and answers, things like that on my screen, but you're not seeing them on TikTok. If you want to get the full experience of the Asylum Answer Show, go over to YouTube. Actually, those of you on LinkedIn and Facebook as well, you're going to get a lot more of my YouTube channel, okay? Yeah, you're getting this live on TikTok and LinkedIn and Facebook, but look, YouTube is where I've got all of my best stuff, okay? Like all of my long-form training videos. I've got some really detailed tutorials and trainings about lots of different asylum topics that you need to know about. If you really want to give yourself the best possible chance to winning your asylum case, then go to YouTube and you can search on YouTube for Political Asylum Lawyers. That's the name of my law firm, and it's also the name of my YouTube channel. So go to YouTube and search for Political Asylum Lawyers. All right, let's see. What questions do we have about winning asylum in the United States? Good morning, Mike Johnson over on YouTube. Hello, says good morning. Thanks for being with us. We got Rich Forever over on TikTok. Covenant. We got Covenant over here. Does permanent resident part of the ban of birthright citizen? What do you mean by that? Can you rephrase that for me? I'm not sure what you mean, Covenant. Let's go to TikTok. Let's start today with our questions over on TikTok. Got a lot of people asking questions, and a lot of people are nervous, right? It is a difficult, stressful moment for immigrants in the United States. That is clear, and it's understandable because Trump is cracking down. There's a lot of immigration enforcement action going on, and also, in addition to the reality that, yes, Trump is going hard after immigrants, there's also a lot of misinformation being spread out there, a lot of fear mongering, there's a lot of hoaxes just to try to scare people and mess with people about, raids and stuff. But look, at the end of the day, I mean, it's true that there's a lot going on and that Trump is trying to deport as many people as possible. It's more important now than ever that it's more important now than ever, right? That we present the strongest case possible. Okay. It's super important. We got to try harder than ever. Okay. You TikTok. Yes. Just wanted to say hello to you guys. Nice. All right. We've got, just wanted to see, yep, how you guys are doing there. All right. What questions do you have about winning asylum in the United States? Okay. Nice. Okay, good. First question. Muhammad on TikTok says, is it too late to get a lawyer after I have another lawyer? Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, no, for sure I'm going to answer your question, and the answer is no. The question is this. Can you change lawyers while you're already underway with your asylum case? So let's say, for example, you've already applied for asylum and you had a lawyer that helped you with that, but then you decide, you know what, I might want to switch lawyers. Can you do that? The answer, thankfully, is yes. Doesn't matter whether you're in immigration court hearing proceedings or whether you have a case pending with the asylum office. You can change lawyers at any time, really. All right. It's easy. It's not a problem. It's not looked upon in any kind of negative way. It doesn't hurt your case. It's normal. People do this all the time. All right. So you got to think to yourself, who's going to give you the best possible chance? Even if you're pretty happy with your lawyer, I recommend that you think about it from this perspective. Is there someone else that's going to give me a better chance that you think is going to give you a better chance to give you the best possible chance to win your case? Then yeah, you should consider changing lawyers. Not a problem at all to do that. Okay. Interesting question. We've got David Jovel on YouTube who says, good morning. I had a question. I came to the USA when I was 9 years old, and I think they gave me asylum, but they didn't give me a work permit. Can I still apply for it and get it? The answer is yes. If you in fact got asylum. Let me address it like this. The question is this. What happens if you think that you have asylum status, but you're not really sure? So like we had this question from someone who came here with their parents when they were a child and they were included in the parents' case and they think that they were granted asylum, but they're not positive and they want to know, can they now get like a work permit? Look, I think that you should probably, before applying for anything, you should probably do a Freedom of Information Act request to see what immigration has about you in their case files, because there could be things that you need to know about, or that your asylum lawyer needs to know about. Okay. I think you should ideally you would get a lawyer, do this Freedom of Information Act request, and then see whether it makes sense to apply for a work permit. If you in fact, and whether you can, if you do in fact have asylum status, yeah, you can get a work permit, and you should consider applying for permanent residency because that's way, way better than just being an asylee in terms of stability and your rights. So you should look into those things. Okay. Does a positive, credible fear interview protect from deportation? Good question. The question is this. If you get a positive decision after your credible fear interview, are you going to be protected against deportation? At least temporarily, yeah. So how it works is when you express a fear of being harmed, if you've been detained or had contact with the immigration authorities and you express fear of being harmed, they're supposed to give you this credible fear interview. If you get a positive decision, then yeah, you then have earned the right to have full immigration court proceedings where you're going to get a chance to apply for asylum and you're going to get a chance to actually explain your case in like full hearings with an immigration judge. And they're not going to deport you while that process is ongoing. And thankfully, even though Trump is doing some ridiculous, crazy things with respect to immigration, his people, his border czar, Tom Homan, has said they're going to respect the asylum process. They're going to let these cases run their course. So I do think that you're safe from being deported and at least while your asylum case remains pending. If you don't have a lawyer, you should talk with one immediately to get help with this. And look, if you want to talk with us, everyone, not just you, everyone, about getting help with your asylum case, then I want you to go to winasylum.com, WINASYLUM.com. Again, that's WINASYLUM.com. Look, we help people all over the country. It doesn't matter where you are. We're based in Texas, but it doesn't matter because we help people all over Texas, but of course, but also we got lots of clients in California, lots in New York, lots in Florida, lots around like Chicago, Denver, Atlanta, everywhere in between, really, okay? So if you want to talk with us, really the easiest and best way to do that is go to winasylum.com. And if you're on your mobile, it's going to look like this. It's super easy to get set up to click through and answer a few questions and select a time for your consultation with one of our asylum professionals. And I checked right before I jumped on this live, and we do have a couple spots, a few spots left next week. I need you to understand that there's a lot of demand for consultations right now. People are nervous. People are worried about their situation. They've decided that it's time to finally get professional help, at least talk with the lawyer to see what they should be doing and whether they can get help. So we don't have a lot of consultation spots open. They fill up really quickly, but I checked a minute ago, and as of right now, there's at least a couple left in the second half of next week. So if you think you might want to talk with us, please go right now before those spots fill up and you have to wait a lot longer. Go right now to WINASYLUM.com. That's winasylum.com. That's where you can schedule an asylum strategy session with one of our asylum professionals. Okay? winasylum.com. What questions do we have? All right. Yeah, Mustafa. Actually, was that you on TikTok too? Mustafa, did you ask that question both on TikTok and YouTube? You're double tracking. Not a bad idea, but don't spam me, all right? Don't spam the comments. Matt Tonti says, how long will it take to get an interview decision after filing for mandamus? Good question. The question is this. How long is it going to take to get your asylum interview after you file a mandamus lawsuit? We're talking here about the famous asylum delay lawsuit that we love. Our clients love it because it works. We've been doing this a ton lately with great effects, great success. If your asylum case has been pending for a long time, for several years, and you're sick of the wait and you want to move forward and you want to give yourself the best chance to win, because look, generally I think that the sooner you get your interview and your decision, the better your chances for success. This is how you do it through an asylum delay lawsuit called a mandamus lawsuit. So after you file that lawsuit, how long to get your interview? It depends. We've had some cases get it very, very quickly. I would say on average, it's probably 3 or 4 months that we've been seeing, but there are some cases that have been longer. We've seen it like 8 months in a couple of cases after you file the lawsuit. We've seen a week and a half though as well. So there's no way to predict with like certainty, probably a few months, maybe up to even like a year. But look, it's better than not suing, because if you don't sue, you're probably going to wait multiple years for your interview. Okay. So look, yeah, I mean, even, like if you sue in a mandamus lawsuit and they say, okay, we gave you your interview, it's for like 10 months from now. It's disappointing, right, that it's that far, but it's probably better than if you had not sued, because if you don't sue, it's most likely, I think, going to be multiple years still before you get your interview. All right. So it's still very much, in my opinion, very much makes sense for almost everyone out there to try to push their case forward as quickly as possible. And this is the way that you do it. This powerful tool called the mandamus lawsuit, the asylum delay lawsuit that we love. Top 5 says, I have a pending asylum case with USCIS for 1 month. I didn't receive an alien number, so am I eligible for expedited removal policy of Trump? Question is this. Are you subject to Trump's expedited removal process if you have an asylum case pending with USCIS? Look, expedited removal is being applied by the Trump administration to people who came here without a visa, okay? If you came on a visa, like a tourist visa or a student visa, you're almost certainly not going to be subjected to expedited removal process, okay? That's good news, right? And if you have a case pending with USCIS, then you probably came here on a visa. Not necessarily. If you came through other means, like if you came without a visa and you could just cross the southern border without getting detected, or you came to the southern border and you had contact with authorities, whether with no sort of programming or process, or through CBP-1 application, or if you came here on parole based on CHNV, or United for Ukraine, or Operation Allies Welcome for Afghans, all those things are a little bit trickier. You could be subjected to expedited removal if you've been here for less than 2 years. End of the day, asylum case pending with USCIS, I think it's unlikely you're going to be subjected to expedited removal, which is good news for you. All right. Look, if you want to give us a call to see if we might be able to support you, you should call us right now at 713-909-0401. Again, 713-909-0401. That's where you can call us to set up an asylum strategy session with one of our asylum professionals. Okay. All right. The majority of Americans voted for this. Are you blind? What is that's true. What is your point in saying that, or what are you trying to express? FCK Russia. I want to know what are you getting at? Explain yourself. I'm curious to know what you're thinking there. All right. Violin Joy. Oh, fun name. Nice handle on YouTube. I like that. It says, I'm concerned about several friends from Ukraine who may have a weakened asylum case due to time in other countries with 3 years in Poland. They left Ukraine too early to be on United for Ukraine, legitimately. Okay. The question is, so basically the question is this: is your asylum case weakened by the fact that you maybe spent time in another country before getting to the United States? So for example, if you left your home country and you went and lived in another country for even multiple years, 2 or 3 years, is that going to make it hard to win asylum in the United States? Well, maybe. Look, the mere fact that you were in another country does not negatively affect your asylum case. Even if you were there for a long time, even if it was like 5 years, even if it was 10 years, that fact by itself doesn't. However, what matters is your status there. If you had permanent residence while you were in another country, even for like 5 minutes, even if you touched down on the tarmac in the plane, never got off the plane, you were physically present in a third country. If you had permanent residency while you were physically present in a third country before coming to the United States, or an offer to get permanent residency, then you could be barred from asylum under what's called the firm resettlement bar. So what matters is the status in that third country. This is a tricky subject, though. An asylum lawyer should probably help sort this out with you and make arguments as necessary. Okay. The Comfort Corner says, I applied for asylum on May 2023. I'm still waiting for my interview. How long do you think I have to wait? May, honestly, it's probably going to be a long time. Because you haven't gotten your interview yet. You've probably fallen into the backlog and you're not going to get it anytime soon. Once you reach 3 years, you should reach back out, about suing the government to force your interview. Because of where you are right now, I think it's unlikely you're going to get your interview anytime soon. But that raises, an important question. The question is this: are you likely to get an interview quickly if you apply for asylum now with USCIS? Or are you going to be one of those people that ends up waiting 3, 7, 12 years for your interview? Look, everyone knows of people, in their communities, people that have been waiting a really long time for an asylum interview, right? 5 years, 10 years. So you may think, if I apply now for asylum with the USCIS, I'm going to be like that. I'm going to have to wait years. It's actually not like that, at least not right now. For the last several months, including right now, currently, as I do this live, we're seeing a majority of people get their interview right away, within like 1 to 3 months of applying. Why? Look, it's kind of complicated. It has to do with the fact that there's been fewer people coming to the southern border over the last few months, which frees up asylum officers to do asylum interviews instead of having to do credible fear interviews on the phone all day with people at the border. So the bottom line, the point is, it may happen very quickly if you apply now. So you got to be ready. There's no guarantee. It might not, but there's a decent chance right now. So you got to be ready to put together a strong case and be prepared to present it right away. Okay. Mohammed, first question, is it safe to travel on a refugee travel document with Eritrea nationality? I think so. Look, there's always a little bit of risk of traveling outside of the United States unless you have U.S. citizenship. And under Trump, I think the risks are increased of traveling on anything short of U.S. citizenship. But I tend to think, Mohammed, overall, that if you have a refugee travel document, it's probably okay to travel. The chances of any problems getting back in are probably very low. Don't go back to your home country, of course. But to go elsewhere and come back is probably okay, but there's a little bit of risk. I think, Mohammed, I think there are some immigration lawyers right now, given the current moment of what's going on with Trump, there's some lawyers that would tell you no. They would be like, no, it's too risky. Don't do it. I tend to think that it's probably okay. If I were in your shoes, I would probably do it, especially if I had like a good reason to really need to travel, like to go see a sick family member or something like that. I would probably do it. But there is a little bit of risk, okay? Marion says, a friend has an affirmative asylum case pending and B1, B2 6-month period has expired. Is this person deportable by ICE even if he entered legally and no crimes? Good question. The question is this. So what if you came to the United States on a tourist visa? You apply for asylum with USCIS, but now your tourist status has expired. Usually they give you 6 months when you come on a tourist visa, usually. 6 months of status here. Let's say you're outside of that. Well, are you vulnerable to deportation? Are you potentially subject to what they call expedited removal, which Trump has expanded and can lead to a really quick deportation? Are you at risk? I think the risk is very low. Expedited removal is only supposed to apply to people that came without a visa. If you came on a visa, you're not supposed to be among the group of people that can be subject to expedited deportation, expedited removal. In general, I think you're okay. Trump's people have said they're going to respect the asylum process. They're going to let it run its course. So having an asylum application pending is, I think, right now, about the best thing you can do to protect yourself from deportation. So I think you're going to be okay. But look, you got to be ready to win your case. You got to be ready to try to put together the best case possible to win that asylum case. It's going to be harder than ever under Trump. It's going to get harder, I think, with every month that Trump is in office. It's going to get harder and harder and harder. So you got to be ready to apply now if you haven't applied, and you got to push it forward if you can. If you've been waiting for multiple years for the interview, I think you should consider suing to push it forward to get your interview and decision as quickly as possible. Okay. That's what I think about that. Sophia Dixon says, hey, hello, Brian. Please brief on potential church and school raids. The question is this. What's going on with these sensitive location raids? We're talking about schools, churches, hospitals. These are places that previously ICE has not gone to try to like arrest people and do deportation action. But Trump has said, nope, those are back on the table. We're gonna open those up to be possibilities for ICE to go get people. I haven't heard of it actually happening yet. I have not heard. There've been some rumors on on social media that have been proved to be false about like major actions at schools or hospitals, but in churches. But I've not seen credible reporting on that. It'll happen eventually. There will eventually be a raid or a targeted arrest at a sensitive location like that, and the Trump administration will probably tout it highly to publicize it, to stoke fear. I don't think it's going to happen as a matter of course, though, as like a normal thing, but I could be proved wrong by the Trump administration. So we'll see. All right. Nagash Muhammad says, he says, hi there. My asylum case is still pending. I'm waiting for an interview, but I'm worried that I do not have enough evidence to support my claim. Would I be able to prove my case without much evidence? How hard is that to do? Good question. The question is this. Should you be worried if you don't have a whole lot of evidence to back up your asylum claim? Not necessarily. Don't worry. Don't freak out, at least. Okay. Look, you do want to provide as much evidence as you can. If you can get documents and other things that back up what you're saying, that support your case, then of course, yeah, you should get them and use them. But if you can't, I don't want you to worry, because you can win asylum without any evidence whatsoever. All right. You can win based on just your testimony. That means what you say on the day of your interview, as long as your testimony is detailed, consistent, and plausible. That's what asylum officers are taught, is you can win asylum without evidence as long as your testimony, what you say at your interview, is detailed, consistent, and plausible. Plausible means like possible, like it's something that's like possible that can actually happen, not something that's like fanciful or impossible. Okay. So look, yeah, you can. That's good news. All right. But you got to do a great job of explaining your story. Okay. And testifying and telling your story in an impactful, powerful way. Okay. I just got a notice of intent to deny. What do I do? Ooh. Yeah, this is tough. Good question. Thanks for the question. The question is this: what should you do after you receive a notice of intent to deny from USCIS? We're talking here about this letter that you get if after your asylum interview with USCIS, if you still have legal status at the moment that they make a negative decision on your case, they don't send you to immigration court. They don't start trying to deport you. Instead, they send you a notice of intent to deny that says, we think we're going to deny you. We intend to deny you for the following reasons. They sort of explain their reasoning, but the letter says you have 16 days to respond and try to change our minds. You can respond in writing and basically try to rebut their reasoning, refute it, and tell them why they're wrong and why you do in fact deserve asylum. So it's kind of like an appeal, but you only have 16 days from the date of the letter. And usually it takes 4 or 5 or 6 days to get the letter. So you really have like a little over a week to respond. What should you do? You should talk to an asylum lawyer immediately about helping you with this rebuttal. Okay. It's complicated. Look, it's hard to win. The chances for winning this rebuttal are low, but it's been done. We've done it. And that's the most important thing, is reach out to an asylum lawyer immediately. If you do it on your own, even smart, sophisticated people have problems with this, okay? It's not something that you really want to handle yourself, in my opinion. Look, and by the way, there are some things that I think you can handle yourself. For example, doing a work permit application based on your pending asylum case, I think you can do that on your own. I don't think you need to hire a lawyer for that. It's straightforward. It's easy. The risks of having problems or not going well are very low. That's so I'll tell you when I will concede and tell you there are things that you don't need a lawyer for. Speaking against my own economic self-interest, right? But this responding to a rebuttal or doing a rebuttal to a notice of intent to deny, you want a lawyer for that. All right. Angelica says, Kadka says on YouTube, after 8 years of waiting, I had my asylum interview last year and I haven't heard back. My case is pending when I check online. Is there anything I can do? Absolutely there is. The question is this: what can you do if you've been waiting a long time for a decision after your asylum interview? Look, I talk every day on social media about this thing called an asylum delay suit. It's called a Mandamus lawsuit. That usually when I'm talking about it is in the context of, look, you sue the government to force them to give you your asylum interview. If you've been waiting for multiple years, you can do this. You can sue to force them to give you your interview. Actually, you can also use it to force them to give you a decision. And whether the delay is unreasonable is the question, right? And whether you're going to like win and have success in forcing the decision. But the time frame that we're looking at here is not the time frame between your interview and today. It's between when you applied for asylum and today. So if you applied for asylum several years ago, then you had your interview and you've been waiting for months for a decision, you should consider suing them to force your decision. Okay? We do this all the time. We love it. Our clients love it because it works. I'd love to talk with you about it at winasylum.com, WINASYLUM.com. Okay? We should talk, Angelica. We should talk about this, okay? I think it's in your best interest to get your decision as soon as possible. I think that your chances for success go down with every month that passes for getting an approval, okay? Ooh. Okay. Hassan Khalaf says, I had my asylum interview twice in Texas, which is rare, actually. It went well, but then I was referred to immigration court with a judge with a high approval rate. Is it a good sign? Interesting question. The question is this. So let's say you had your asylum interview with USCIS and you feel like it went pretty well. And then, you got referred to immigration court and you got lucky and you have a judge with a pretty high approval rate. Is this a good sign? Are you in good shape? Well, look, yeah, the fact that your judge has a high approval rate is good. That's definitely good. But the fact that you got sent to immigration court is not good. You need to understand that if you have an asylum interview with USCIS and they say, no, we're not approving you, we're referring you to immigration court, that means they denied you. They say, this is not a denial in the letter, but it is for all intents and purposes. They decided you do not qualify for asylum and they put you in deportation proceedings. That is not good. What I'm saying is that it's not like, oh, things are going well in my case. I'm good. I'm on a good path. No, you already lost your case once. You need to do everything in your power to improve your case, to present the strongest case possible in court, because you've already been rejected once. If you get rejected again, it means a deportation order. You need to talk with an asylum lawyer right away, I think. Okay. Yeah, it's super common that people, because they use this language in the letter from USCIS, like, oh, this is not a denial. People are like, oh, okay, I'm cool. I just, next step is court. No big deal. No, it is a big deal. The US government has already once said, you fail. You don't deserve asylum. So you're not in a good position. You're in deportation proceedings. That's bad. That is scary. You got to do better in immigration court, okay, to win your case. Aki Yip says, how would working with someone from Idaho work on, and is the amount quoted on the website up front or over the period of the case? Thanks. Aki, yeah, we work with people in Idaho. We help clients all over the country. We have clients in Idaho. Doesn't matter where you are. We help people all over the country. And then you asked, is the amount quoted on the website up front? I'm not sure what amount you're referring to on the website. I don't think our attorney fees are on the website, are they? But when you call us, if you call us, or if you sign up for a consultation, you'll see that we say that our fees range from like $9,000 to like $14,000, depending on various factors. And to answer your question, no, you don't have to pay all that up front. There's payment plans available for our different services. So that's the good news. You don't have to pay it all up front. We'll be happy to discuss in detail with you, obviously, how the payment plans work if you do a consultation with us, which you can schedule at winasylum.com. That's WINASYLUM.com. That's where you can schedule an asylum strategy session with one of our asylum professionals. We want to talk with you, see what's going on, tell you whether we think that we're in a position to support you. If we think that we are, we're going to explain to you how we would help you. Like, we're going to tell you concretely all the steps that we're going to take to give you the best possible chance of winning your case, so that you can finally get confidence about your future, so that you can get peace of mind about your safety and the life that you're trying to build here in the United States. That's what we want to do. Okay. So someone had a baby in Canada and then came to the USA. Does the baby's Canadian passport give the parents right to permanent residency? No. Even if they had permanent residency in Canada, that doesn't give them permanent residency here. No, having a baby in Canada in no way helps someone with status or an asylum case here. Can you explain, Musab Yahya says, can you explain, please, expedite requests related to mental issues? Sure, I'll be happy to. The question is this: how do you go about requesting that your case be expedited under urgent humanitarian circumstances if you're facing some psychological challenges or some mental health issues? Look, we're talking about cases where an asylum case is pending with USCIS, an affirmative asylum case. I mean, actually, you can do this in immigration court too, but the chances for success are even lower. But this usually happens with the asylum office, where you've got some issue, and maybe your mental health provider, your doctor, your psychologist, psychiatrist, whatever it is, counselor, they think that your health would be improved by getting your interview done so that you can sort of get your case behind you, because maybe your case is one of the things that's stressing you out, and thinking about being harmed in your country, that fear is stressing you out. Well, yeah, you can get a letter from them explaining this, and you can, any other evidence you have of how it's affecting you, and you can ask the asylum office to expedite your case, to schedule your interview based on this. Chances for success are low. They don't often grant it. Look, a much better route, if you've been waiting multiple years, is a mandamus lawsuit to sue the government to force them to give you your interview. Okay. We've got, hello, Brian. If a child is admitted to school while still on a tourist visa, if still status of visa is legal, does that change the status of parents? No. Parents' status is not going to change. It's not going to help parents. It's not going to hurt them. It has no impact on the parents. Okay. We've got this question from SDFG. SDF says, Mr. Brian, what if a person specifically been to an EU country with a student visa, and then they come to the US and apply for asylum at the asylum office to lower their chance to win asylum? Good question. The question is this: what if you were going to school in the European Union, you're from someplace not in the European Union, but you got to go to one of those countries on a student visa and you lived there for a while as a student. Then you come to the United States and you apply for asylum. Is it going to hurt your case, your asylum case? The fact that, you were in the EU in presumably a pretty safe place on this student visa. Well, listen, the issue that this raises is the prospect of the application of what's called the firm resettlement bar, where the rule for that is if you were physically present in a country other than your country in the United States before you came to the United States, then you can be barred from asylum in the United States under the firm resettlement bar, but only if, while you were physically present in that third country, you had permanent residency or an offer to get it. This is actually a tricky area of the law. It sounds straightforward, but there's a lot of gray area. But the good news is that, look, almost certainly, if it was a student visa, it's not counted as permanent residency or an offer to get it, and you should be okay. It shouldn't affect you, shouldn't keep you from getting asylum in the United States. So that's good news. Okay. Chukwiyenam says, Covenant says, my sister is a permanent resident and she is pregnant. Will her child be a citizen considering the ban? Good question. The question is this. Will the child of a permanent resident get U.S. citizenship if that child is born here in the United States, considering Trump's birthright citizenship ban? Well, look, first of all, the birthright citizenship ban at the time that I'm doing this live is not in effect. There's a court case. A judge said, no, that looks like it might be illegal. We're going to let the case run its course. But for now, the policy is not in effect. In other words, for any child born here right now on U.S. soil, almost any, if you apply right now for a passport to the State Department, they should issue you the passport, irrespective of Trump's birthright citizenship order. Even though under Trump's order, this scenario, you'd be okay, because how it works under Trump's order is that children born here to a parent who's a U.S. citizen or a lawful permanent resident, i.e. a green card holder, they get citizenship under Trump's citizenship ban. They would still get citizenship, so they would be okay. Okay. Marianne55 says, how does USCIS check if asylum applicants have permanent residency in a third country? Is having a temporary residency a potential reason for rejection of asylum? Good question. The question is this. How does USCIS know whether you've had permanent residency in a third country before coming to the United States for purposes of assessing the firm resettlement bar? So we're talking about this rule that says you can't get asylum here if you were physically present in another country before you got here, and while physically present in that country, you had permanent residency or an offer to get it. But how does USCIS know about that? Well, they're going to ask you questions about it. When you indicate that you were in another country before you came here, they're going to ask questions. What was your immigration status there? And you're going to have to explain it. Now, they're going to probably also ask for you to produce, they might ask for you to produce evidence. Like, okay, let me see the visa that was stamped when you entered that country. Let me see any documents you got from their immigration authorities about your status there. And they're going to do an assessment as to whether what you had is considered the equivalent of permanent residency, or what's called an offer to get it. Now, that analysis is complicated, but look, they usually don't have any other source of information about it other than what you tell them or what you show them in documents, but you need to tell the truth. You should always tell the truth and be open and honest, okay? David Barry says, do you think NOAM will extend TPS Saturday? If not, will a lawsuit stop this? I don't know. Yeah, I have no idea. We're talking about TPS for Venezuelans here. Trump basically did away or terminated an extension of TPS status for Venezuelans that Biden had announced just a few weeks ago, right before leaving office. Trump said, no, we're not going to do that. And so TPS is set, temporary protected status is set to expire for Venezuelans now a lot sooner than they had expected, than they thought it would based on Biden's recent announcement. But it might be extended under the way the rules work. The Secretary of Homeland Security has until this Saturday to make a decision about whether to extend it. It's complicated, but the question is like, is TPS going to be extended for Venezuelans? I don't know. Will a lawsuit stop it? I don't know. Maybe. Maybe there were some lawsuits similar issues during the last Trump administration around TPS, that some of them were successful in stopping some of the things that Trump wanted to do in terms of taking TPS away from people. So maybe, I don't know. We'll see. All right. What is the best proof for 2 years of presence for avoiding expedited removal, old EAD, driver's license, utilities, etc.? Yes, those things are all good. Rent, let me address it like this. The question is this: what kind of documents can you point to show ICE that you've been physically present in the U.S., that you entered the U.S. At least 2 years ago, more than 2 years or more ago? We're talking here about this because it's relevant to whether you're likely to be subjected to expedited removal, this process that Trump has been expanding and using to try to deport people as quickly as possible without giving them even court hearings to defend themselves. But if you've been here for 2 years, you're not supposed to be subjected to this. So how do you show them you've been here for 2 years? What can you point to? Look, documents like showing that you've paid your house mortgage or your rent for your apartment for over 2 years. Notes or confirmations from doctor's appointments you've gone to, utility bills that you've paid at your house, your payment for your Netflix plan, all of your streaming services that you use, your Google Maps history that can show where you've been over the course of more than 2 years. Things like that you should put together in a single PDF and save it to your phone, upload it to a cloud so that you can easily access it in case you get detained. Also share it with trusted friends that can help get it to you if you're ever detained by ICE. I'm about to publish a video about this topic, Sophia, on YouTube. Or no, who asked that question? That wasn't Sophia. That was Violin Joy. In the next day or two that addresses this in more detail. But yeah, the things that you mentioned and then the things that I mentioned, it's really anything that looks like, oh, this looks like the kind of stuff that someone who's been here for more than 2 years would have, because it shows that it looks like you've been here making payments for things and doing things that are spaced out over time over more than 2 years. Okay. Artwell says, will staying in a homeless shelter in New York affect my pending asylum case in San Francisco? Is it compulsory to change my address? Good question. The first question is this. Well, the fact that you stayed in a homeless shelter or some kind of facility where you're sort of getting assistance or free housing, will that hurt your asylum case? No, it won't. Factors like this don't have anything to do. The asylum officer doesn't care about them. They just have no impact, neither negative nor positive. You don't need to go out of your way to bring it up. I mean, look, you have to list your address. You have to list all of on the asylum application form, you have to list every address at which you've lived for the last 5 years. But so you should do that, but you don't need to go out of your way to be like, oh, I was at a homeless shelter. I was at this, this NGO's facility where they help asylum seekers. It's not really relevant. And so you shouldn't go out of your way to try to bring it up at your asylum interview or in your application materials or your supporting documents. Okay. Thanks for the question. So the other question, there was another question, and the question is this: if you move, you change addresses, you move, do you have to inform USCIS about this? What if your asylum case is pending originally with an office with a high approval rate, but then you move to another state where you're now in the jurisdiction of a different asylum office with a lower approval rate? Do you really need to tell USCIS about that move? Yes, you do. Look, it's considered immigration fraud, okay? If you don't update your address with USCIS, okay? So you should do that. It's something that I understand that people are tempted by, just trying to sort of lie or stretch the truth or whatever you want to call it to try to be with an asylum office that is more favorable, but you shouldn't do that. You should tell the truth and be open and honest and inform USCIS immediately upon moving. You're supposed to do it per their rules, and it can be considered immigration fraud if you don't. Look, you can move. If you want to purposely move into the jurisdiction of a better asylum office, sure, do that, but you need to actually move, okay? All right. Ayuba says, is it necessary for you and your lawyer to be present during the master hearing? Good question. The question is this. Do you have to show up, do you and your lawyer have to show up in person for your master calendar hearing in immigration court? Look, we're talking here about what is usually the first of 2 hearings in immigration court. This first one, called the master calendar hearing, weird name, I know. It's really mostly administrative in nature. Usually the judge is not asking you to explain your case or talking about things that are like substantive about your case. However, important things do happen sometimes at these, including surprises sometimes that can affect your case, affect the outcome. So I do strongly encourage you to have a lawyer for this. Do you have to go in person? If the judge tells you to, if your order that you get about your notice about the hearing, or it says in person, you have to go in person unless you get the judge's permission to do it by video conference, by WebEx. You can make a motion to have it done by WebEx, and often the judge says yes, especially for this first one, the master calendar hearing. Okay. So yeah, there's no problem with doing it WebEx. It's actually better. Actually, it's better to get it skipped altogether, but that's a different topic. But yeah, sometimes it'll be in person, sometimes it'll be by WebEx. But if it's in person and you want to do it by video conference, you can ask the judge ahead of time, and they might say yes. Okay. Joel says, is it still a good time to apply for asylum, or is it too late? Oh, good question. The question is this. Does it even make sense anymore to apply for asylum, or is it basically too late because of all that Trump is doing to try to kick immigrants out of the country? Look, I can understand this sentiment. It does seem daunting. It seems scary. The truth, though, is that I think that right now, having an asylum application pending is one of the best ways to protect yourself from deportation. It's one of the best ways, I think, to protect yourself from detention, from being arrested and being detained and being deported, especially from being deported like really quickly under what they call expedited removal processes. The Trump administration has said they're going to respect the asylum process. They're going to let it run its course and respect it. So far, I think it's happening. We had an asylum approval yesterday for one of our clients, so it's not like they're overnight just rejecting everyone. We won last time under Trump a lot of cases. We're going to win a lot of cases this time. So yeah, look, if you fear being harmed in your country and you haven't yet applied for asylum, you should talk with an asylum lawyer right away about whether it makes sense for you to apply. All right, if you want to do that, talk with us about your situation, see whether we think we might be able to help you and whether it makes sense for you to apply. I hope you'll schedule an asylum strategy session with one of our asylum professionals. You can do that at this address, winasylum.com. Again, that's winasylum.com. That's winasylum.com. It's super quick and easy to get set up with your consultation. Just takes a minute or two to answer a couple questions and pick the time that you want to meet with us. And we will look forward to getting to know you. We want to get to know you and your situation. We want to know about your goals with respect to your immigration case and the life you're trying to build in America. And then we're going to go deep on your case. We're going to get to really understand your case and your situation and tell you whether we think we can help you. If we think that we're in a position to support you, we're going to tell you how. We're going to give you like the actual concrete action plan. We call it an asylum action plan. It will be tailored to your specific circumstances of how we're going to help you, okay? Which is something that you won't get with most lawyers. Most lawyers will just be like, "Oh yeah, we'll win your case. Don't worry about how. Don't worry, we'll win your case." Why? Because they don't have a strategy. They don't have an actual plan or strategy for how to approach a case in general, and they're certainly not going to tailor a plan to your specific needs and your specific circumstances. Most immigration lawyers just don't do that, unfortunately. It's sad. They should, but they don't. But we're going to tell you exactly how we're going to help you, okay? All right. If you want to give us a call, if you prefer to do that rather than go online to schedule your consultation, you can do that at you can schedule at winasylum.com, or you can call 713-909-0401. Again, that phone number is 713-909-0401. I'm going to put in the consultations this link that you should be able to click on, winasylum.com, winasylum.com. AJ asks, what is the down payment? It depends. There's different case types, different circumstances where we have different fees and therefore different, initial payments to hire us. The initial payments are going to range from something like $3,000 to $5,000, I think. All right. Depends on the case. What happens if a person's asylum is denied after TPS expires? Will USCIS send an NTA? Good question. The question is this. What's going to happen? Are you going to get a notice to appear and get put in deportation proceedings if you get a negative decision in your asylum case? So your asylum claim is denied by USCIS. But at that point, you don't get put into deportation proceedings yet because you still have temporary protected status, TPS. Well, what happens when that TPS ends? If it's either just expires or if the Trump administration straight up takes it away because they've talked about possibly just terminating existing TPS. What happens then? Are you going to get a notice to appear and get put in deportation proceedings? Probably. If you've been here for less than 2 years, you might even be arrested and subjected to what they call expedited removal, where you can get deported really, really quickly. Look, you need to win your asylum case is the bottom line. That's the best way to protect yourself, is present the strongest asylum case possible and prepare to give yourself the best chance of doing a great job at your interview so you can win your asylum case. That's the best remedy that I see right now. Okay. Okay. Interesting question. Peter says on YouTube, if I applied for asylum in San Francisco, California, would I be permitted to relocate to another state while my case is pending, or would I need to remain in San Francisco until a decision is made? Good question. The question is this. If you apply for asylum while you're living in a certain city and your asylum case is assigned to a certain office, let's say, for example, the San Francisco Asylum Office, after you apply, can you then move to another place, or are you sort of like bound and obligated to stay there where your case is pending? Well, look, the good news is that you can move anywhere in the country at any time during your case. It doesn't matter. When your case is pending with USCIS, you can move anywhere. But understand, when you move, if you move into the jurisdiction of another asylum office, once you inform USCIS of that move, which you need to do right away, that's very important to do that. When you inform them, your case is going to get transferred from San Francisco to wherever you move. So if you move to Houston, your case is going to get transferred from San Francisco to Houston. San Francisco has usually the highest or one of the highest approval rates in the country, as where Houston is a low approval rate. So you'd be moving from high to low, which you may want to consider. If you can avoid that, you may want to consider avoid moving into a less asylum seeker friendly place. Okay. Meower says, how much does the consultation cost? The question is this: how much does it cost to get a consultation with my law firm? So we're talking about the asylum strategy sessions here, where we're going to go deep. We're going to get to really understand you, your situation, your family, your immigration goals, understand the life that you're trying to build here in the United States. And of course, we're going to go really deep on your case. We're going to get to know your circumstances, your underlying case, and do an analysis and tell you whether we think we're in a position to support you. If so, we're going to explain how exactly in concrete detail what our asylum action plan is going to be for you. So this takes place in the context of an asylum strategy session, and they're pretty deep. They last a while. They last 50 minutes, 50, almost an hour. It's not one of these little 10, 20-minute consultations that some lawyers do or some people do. What does it cost? At the moment that I'm making this live, it's free. We're probably going to switch to paid in the very near future because of significant demand, what's going on in the world. But if you schedule right now, it's free as of today when I'm making this live, okay? winasylum.com, WINASYLUM.com. That's where you can schedule this asylum strategy session today, okay? WINASYLUM.com, all right? winasylum.com. All right, that's it. Brian Manning here for Political Asylum Lawyers. That's my law firm. Schedule a consultation with us so we can see what's going on and tell you whether we can help you. All right. Have a good day, YouTube. See you next time. It's a pleasure to support you in your asylum case, in your asylum journey. Bye, guys.